Hello and welcome to the webinar today. Attracting and retaining legal talent in Yorkshire is the focus, and I'm here with a fantastic panel. We've got Toby Harper, James Richardson and Nadia Hemmings, who are all going to just briefly introduce themselves before we get stuck into the discussion. At the end, we will have the opportunity for questions, so please do ask questions as we go, and I will pick up the questions at the end for you guys. The session is recorded as well, so if there is a question that you don't want to ask on the recording, please ask that separately, and the recording will be available on YouTube afterwards. So over to Toby first to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Jodie. Hi, everyone. My name's Toby. I'm the CEO and founder of Harper James. I set up the business just under 10 years ago. I was originally in Sheffield at the time when I set the firm up. We are today, so almost 10 years on, we'll turn over in the region of 13 million. We're about 130 people. I've grown the business organically during that period. So Harper James is structured quite differently to traditional firms in that we've sort of built teams that are able to really focus on the part of the job they enjoy the most. So for instance, our sales and marketing function generates 85–90% of all the work for the firm. We've got a client services team made up of lawyers that focus purely on relationship management, which means that the lawyers can focus on delivering a great quality service to our clients, essentially. And we're sort of 3 years into a 5-year plan to get the business to 20 million in revenue.
Nice. Thank you so much. And James, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm James Richardson. I'm managing partner at Lupton Fawcett, a mid-market law firm here in Leeds. I've been managing partner here for 3.5 years. Prior to my time at Lupton Fawcett, I was actually managing partner at Lee & Priestley before the two firms merged. And I'm very much about changing the perception of a mid-market law firm in Leeds, really, in terms of we've changed our messaging, we've changed our premises, we've changed the way we do things.
Love it, thank you. And last but not least, Nadia.
Hi everyone, I'm Nadia Hemmings and I'm the talent manager at Clarion. So Clarion is a hugely successful law firm employing roughly about 310 or so people, often cited as one of the fastest growing law firms in Europe. We operate across 18 different service lines, so there aren't many areas of law that we don't cover. I guess I come at this from a slightly different perspective. I'm the only person on the panel that doesn't come from a legal background. Actually, prior to joining Clarion, I recruited for a range of different types of roles, not specifically law, but also have a marketing background. And I guess really my reason for being here is I believe marketing, recruitment, talent, attraction are all intertwined.
To be fair, we can probably all learn quite a lot from you, so no pressure.
And vice versa, I'm sure. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. So the first question we've got about 40 odd minutes to go. The first question I want to ask is focused around benefits and initiatives. So I want you to, and you can speak in any order, depending on how much you want to say on this particular topic, but talk a bit about the benefits and initiatives that you have within the workplace that meet the diverse needs of employees, including thinking about different stages of their career and different stages of life. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll pitch in first. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Nadia.
That's fine, go James.
I made it. Right. Yeah. Well, obviously, in law today, you recognise the diversity of the people before you, the people who want to join you, and we have recently, which in terms of okay, any firm can provide the usual kind of benefits and things, but over and above that, we've enhanced our paternity leave, our maternity leave. We've introduced or enhanced our menopause policy. We've got a new EDI committee that's very active in terms of bringing those type of values to the firm. And it's things like that, because people just don't come to law firms necessarily just to be lawyers. Well, of course they do, but they don't. It's other things that help enhance their lives, help enhance their well-being, and help enhance what it's like to be in a law firm. We're very keen to get those things in place.
Yeah. Would you say that the ED&I committee are quite intrinsic in helping you to shape those benefits and initiatives around them?
Absolutely, yeah. Jodie. And they are a very active bunch of people from all stages of their careers in the firm. But it's something that the current generation really get into and really engage with. And I think it's hugely important. And the ideas and the enthusiasm that come out of that, especially what we find it here at Luxon Forza, is absolutely immense. And it's quite gratifying to see how this generation is actually wanting to do things and wanting to make a difference.
Yeah, I do. I actually think it's really important that we hear what staff want, because we can often assume what people need, what initiatives, what benefits they want. So it's really good to hear that you're getting the thoughts of the individuals, both from an ED&I committee, but also beyond that, from the younger generations, hearing what people actually want and need. Because we can actually waste so much time and money, can't we, just on things that we assume that everybody wants, and actually that's not helpful for them.
No, exactly. We have an employee voice initiative where employees can champions from each department and meet on a regular basis and express to us, things that are happening in their part of the business, things that they may like, maybe they don't like. And this is all part of building this cohesion of the next generation of lawyers and what we want to do.
Nice. Thank you, James. Has anyone else got anything to add in terms of how your firm tailors the benefits and initiatives to meet the diverse needs?
I guess what I would say is one of our values is flexibility without judgment. And
I love that.
90% of our people currently work flexibly. 39% work part-time, and 34% have individual working patterns. I think we could probably all recognise that people have different versions of flexibility that they might need depending on different stages of their life, and particularly, and it's not just exclusively working parents, but for working parents in particular, that need for flexibility, both in terms of location, but also when they work, is really important. So they can be, we're a very family orientated business, and so they can be present for their their family. The other stuff we do, much like James, is we've got stuff around private healthcare, we've got counselling support and menopause support. We do things like discounted gym membership, life assurance. We've got an employee support line. We introduced a holiday purchase scheme, because although we've got a generous policy around annual leave, we realise that when you think about all the volume of school holidays there are, for a parent to want to be with their kids as much as possible, whether it's because they need to be there because they can't get childcare in, or whether because that they want to take that time. And we added in an additional entitlement to annual leave with holiday purchase scheme. And then some other bits and pieces we're looking at the moment around salary sacrifice to support with childcare costs and all that sort of stuff.
Nice. So again, it goes back to the point of asking people like what they need and understanding that their needs change as well.
Yeah, that's right. And most of this comes back. I mean, we probably don't have. We do run an engagement survey annually. I'm sure within that people are asked. We're asked for feedback. But you do generally otherwise hear, don't you, as part of that process of engaging with your managers, and your managers engaging with their people as to the sorts of things that people need. There's only you'd only implement something if you could see that people would value it, either those people who are here, or whether it would be a tool for attracting other people.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. I think that's one of the, sorry to talk over you, Jodie. I think that's one of the key things, but it isn't for me just about talking to the existing employees, much as that's vital. And a lot of actually Clarion's key policies and initiatives have been driven from what people are saying that they want, but it's also listening to the wider market. If you want to attract people, you've got to know what people don't like about where they currently are, and therefore, benefits, initiatives should be evolving all of the time, because things change, and it's great that now it isn't just one size fits all like it did used to be not so long ago, really, in a lot of businesses. And life stages is really a key area to focus on, I think, and at Clarion we do a lot around that. So we have really enhanced policies for families. So we have like some have mentioned, enhanced maternity, paternity. We do a lot in the fertility space. We're hoping to get a fertility matters accreditation very soon. In the menopause, it's way beyond having a menopausal policy. It's about actually doing things within the business that will support women, whether it be kind of recognizing that they might have different requirements to what they had 5 years ago if they weren't in that stage of life. Our medical cover goes way above and beyond a lot of others, so that it includes preventative screenings. It includes a lot of men's and women's health issues that a lot of policies don't normally include. we do financial advice that sometimes might support some of our younger employees. Things like Clarionet, which is even, it's classed as a benefit because it's about bringing together anybody that's at senior associate level or below, and bringing them together to help them grow their network, because actually that will really help them to embed themselves in the, in the legal space. And I would say one that we do that's been hugely successful, which would be wrong for me not to highlight really, is our return to work coaching that we offer our maternity leavers. That's been a really hugely successful scheme, and we've had 90% retention rates of women that have gone on maternity leave and come back, and 100% of those have come back on flexible working patterns as well.
Yeah.
We have 20% of our employees that are part-time. I could talk about this all day because it's all about inclusion. It's really fundamental to why I wanted to join Clarion, and why I think actually they do things really well.
It just shows though, doesn't it, when you can see that the staff talk about a business in that way, it emanates the values, doesn't it? And I agree with you on the coaching. We had 2 of our senior associates up at the same time only a year and a half ago. Both of them, we did coaching during pregnancy, maternity, and when they came back to help them. And that was something we built with them, to say like they'd had, one of them had a child in another firm, and again, exactly what you're saying, understand what they did, what that other firm did wrong. I was able to grab her from the other firm because they didn't speak to her for a year. They didn't even invite her to a team meeting, and so she was so isolated. So actually being able to do that and get that information of what went so wrong as to why she wanted to leave meant that we could create the right culture for her. So no, I absolutely love that. And it kind of links into the next question actually, which is about flexibility. I know that we've already touched on it slightly, but I want to explore the strategies that your firms have adopted when you're trying to balance flexibility, whether this is from a hybrid working perspective, or that you have what we have is called smart working. So when I set Thrive Law up 6 years ago, we were smart working before it was cool. It was that kind of very much you work when and where you want, as long as you get your work done. And there was this common sense approach to how we did it. Obviously, that means that you've got to have systems in place. You've got to be very intentional with your communication. But what strategies would you say in your organisations have you seen effective when you're trying to balance flexibility and hybrid working, and also looking at things like collaboration and culture? Because what we're seeing is a lot of organisations saying, well, if we can't deal with the culture remotely, so you just all have to come back. So it'd be really interesting to see your views on that point. So Nadia, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can do. I think you used the word that you stole it out of my mouth, and the word is intentional. I think if you had a really strong culture pre-COVID, I think you're already on a much stronger footing. I think if you didn't have that, and you're having to kind of persuade people of the reasons and benefits of coming into an office, I think it would be a lot harder. Because we did have a really strong culture bounded around the principle of collaboration, really. People want to come in, not every day, but people want to come in because people want to socialize. They want to spend time with they want to work together. But I think it's putting in place reasons for people to come in, so that when people are coming in, they see the benefit of coming in. It isn't just coming in because I'm told I have to come into the office. It's coming in because there's value in coming in, because you enjoy spending time with your colleagues, and you're working on projects that actually are truly collaborative, that are just sometimes easier when you can just have that 2-second conversation rather than always doing everything on video. But then it's embracing technology. An example of that is every Wednesday we have what we call our Wednesday morning meetings. It's a chance for the whole business to get together, to be able to kind of listen to what's happening in other teams. That's available on video, and it's available live on video or in person. So it's doing those types of things so that people don't feel excluded if they are working from home. And I guess really communication, like you said, it's about making sure that communication is really strong when you have got people dotted around on different days and different things. So it's that intentional bit, I think, really that's key.
Yeah, it is about, I suppose it's that point, isn't it, about understanding how people work best as well, because how some people collaborate is different to how other people collaborate as well. I, being ADHD and having anxiety, one of the things I struggle with is noise and sensory issues. So for me, I can collaborate in smaller groups in certain environments for certain bits of work, but for other things, I'm much better on my own because I can hyper focus. So it's about understanding that, and that's the intentional piece, isn't it? It's really trying to work out how people work best, and do we actually need to be in the office for this particular thing, or is it just everybody in? And we found a balance of understanding, one, how people work best, and two, is it a particular thing that we want to collaborate in person on for a reason, rather than just because I say you have to come in kind of attitude. So yeah, no, I like that. James, what about you?
Yeah, well, we have a policy called LF Flex, which is basically it's down to the group heads to work out when they actually need people either in the office or in another office, either in York or Sheffield, or they can work at home. So, but it's very much for the business needs. But one thing that we've found, and there's quite a lot of people, like as Nadia was saying, actually like to be in the office permanently. And that's fine. And some whole teams, they like it because it suits them, it suits the communication and the interpersonal relationships. That works. A lot of teams, they have 2 or 3 days in the office, 2 or 3 days at home. How it works. I mean, personally, I'm either here in Leeds, in Sheffield, or in York, because obviously my job is to go around seeing whoever's about and getting to know them and all this business. But it's very much down to the individual departments as to what works best for them to serve them in business, whilst of course taking into account people's needs. Like obviously Toby mentioned, when you've got people with young families, then obviously you have to work around that, and that's absolutely fine by us. And it works very, very well, and people respond to it. And talking about, we had a recent culture survey, and people say that they like the fact that they can be in the office when they want to be, and they can see people, can see their friends, because what we mustn't forget is that some people's lives, not just their professional lives, but some of their social lives and their relationships are in the office. So it's very important, this interpersonal communication and seeing people's whites of the eyes. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think ultimately, like both of you were saying, it's about understanding what your teams need and actually listening to them, and having one blanket policy that applies to everybody regardless obviously doesn't take into consideration the best interests of the individuals, but actually doesn't work for the business as well. It doesn't help with productivity for sure. Toby, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I guess because Harper James has been pretty much a fully virtual firm since I founded it. We've got office space, a permanent office space in Sheffield and Birmingham. So in Sheffield, we've got our sales team, because that's a pretty difficult, brutal job to do on your own. So those guys, they're non-lawyers, but they're sales professionals, work together side by side in Sheffield. In Birmingham, we have a small operations team that sort of need to be there for handling the post and what have you, and a few junior people. But otherwise, everybody works flexibly, remotely, and they always have done. So, and that works really well for us. I think I can see that there's been a huge amount of difficulty for law firms that didn't adopt that sort of home working, flexible working pre-COVID, and are now trying to sort of juggle a combination of some people wanting to work flexibly from home and other people being in the office, some parts of some teams being permanently in office and some people not being in office. And certainly from recruitment, we've had a lot of interest in our roles, because I was particularly concerned around COVID for a whole range of reasons. But one of the reasons being a big differentiator for us is that freedom and flexibility that we give people in terms of where they set themselves up and how they work. And obviously that being thrust on basically all law firms across the country. And I'm concerned about that differentiator being diluted in some ways. But if anything, it's had the opposite effect, because what we found is that people have started to recognize the value of being able to choose where they work, and to a large degree when they work, certainly where they work 5 days a week, and they don't want that taken away from them. They don't want to be subjected to a policy around, okay, we have to be in 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, or whatever. Because in some cases they've relocated, they've moved somewhere else in the country, or maybe they want to. And actually, everyone's had that flavour of working from home. They've really enjoyed it, and for the people who are interested in working for us, they want to preserve that. And it works really well for us. And I think because everybody works remotely, it really enhances our culture rather than potentially takes away from it, because working virtually, you can't have relationships, and you need that in-person contact to build close bonds with your colleagues. You don't, and our culture and the way that we built the firm is testament to that. I mean, we do have we do have budgets in place for in-person sort of face-to-face get-togethers. So we do all of our inductions in person. Everyone who's running a team has a budget for a quarterly get-together, so they can bring their people together, whether it's at one of our office locations or whether it's somewhere else in the country. That's fine, where it happens to be convenient for them. And then we have 2 firm-wide parties a year, so like a summer bash and a winter bash, where we bring everyone together, pay for them to come, put them up in hotels and have a big party. And then we do all of our sort of firm-wide updates virtually, so everybody can sort of
can join
and participate in those. Yeah, and it works really well for us. You need to have really good technology to be able to collaborate effectively on work. And obviously, you know, being a commercial law firm, there's lots of transactional work. We get involved in big corporate deals, high value disputes, commercial property work, and that sort of thing. And on the whole, pretty much everything, as long as you've got the right technology available to you, can be done really effectively in a virtual environment. But outside of our offices in Birmingham and Sheffield, we've got a network of other offices that people can access throughout the country. So if, you know, it does require actually getting together physically to work on a job, then, you know, we've got that, we've got those facilities in place as well.
I like that. On the point about the budget and getting together quarterly and technology and all of that, it's really similar to how we set up actually. So we were all, most of my team are remote working. They might come in 1 day a week, but by choice. So the ones that live in London don't come in at all. But we have at least a quarterly catch up in person, and we do one away weekend, and then we do 2 other meetings a year that's in person, where we have a whole day together. But one of the things that we did recently, which really helped us to improve communication, especially when you've got new people in, because I hear your point on inductions in person, we do the same thing, but was to look at a team agreement about communication. So what do we use WhatsApp for? What do we use Teams for? How do we use email? And I know it sounds really obvious, but actually if you can all be aligned on that, it actually can massively reduce the miscommunication that happens within the team. So the team actually did that themselves. They came up with a team agreement about how they communicate with each other and then shared it with management. And I found that as a manager, that was something that was really helpful for me to see how they communicate, because I'm not involved in the day-to-day setting up of a file, for example. So understanding all of that was really helpful for us. So yeah, I think there's been some really great strategies there. The next question I would like to ask is thinking about retention. So we know how it's a bit of a talent war at the moment in the legal profession. I mean, Toby, you've grown quite quickly. Do you think that, before I go on to the next question, actually, I want to ask, do you think that having a remote firm has been instrumental in your growth? Do you think that's what part of the attraction to your firm has been when you're interviewing? Is that something that people are asking for?
It's been absolutely vital for a number of reasons. We would not have been able to recruit the number of people we've recruited and the quality of people we've recruited within the time frame we've recruited them if we were looking for people within a commutable distance of a office location. So, and, you know, we're very sort of specific about the people we want to take on. So everyone's ex-city lawyers. We focus on senior lawyers. So our average PQE is 18 years PQE. So we you know, particularly Sheffield. I love Sheffield for a whole range of reasons, but it's difficult to recruit, you know, senior lawyers of the sort of the quality and the pedigree that we're looking for in Sheffield, because they get drawn into bigger regions like Manchester and Leeds and so on. So yeah, we just literally wouldn't have been able to keep up with the demand of the clients that we were winning unless we had a remote model. And then likewise, it has been pre-COVID, and as I say, post-COVID, a real differentiator for us. So, you know, our flexible working encompasses a whole load of stuff, but it very much does include, you choose the location in which you work. But then there's supported by a load of our other values that mean that over the last couple of years, whilst there's been this war for talent and a real retention problem generally across the legal industry, we haven't suffered at all from that. And in fact, you know, we're building pipelines of candidates for roles that we're not yet filling, but we know we're going to need to fill, with people that we're sort of pre-selecting, so agreeing with them to go through a recruitment process, who are ready to hand in their notice to join us as soon as we open up the role. And I think, you know, and that's for a range of reasons, but a big part of it is that
is the flexibility
that we're able to offer people. And as I say, I think it's very difficult to do that in a hybrid environment where you have some people in office, some people not, and it would be a real challenge to try.
I think it depends on what people want, though. If I'm really honest, Toby, not everybody fits every law firm. We've grown really quickly, but we are a Leeds-based law firm, doing work that's across the UK and internationally. But we do, for the vast majority of our people, have an expectation that they will be in the office a couple of days a week at least. It is a true hybrid model. I think it is different. I've recruited for a lot of businesses, non-legal. If you are a business that was set up as a remote business, it's a very different proposition to if you are a business that was 5 days in an office and then now is navigating this new world. Plus, we hire a lot of younger lawyers as well. We take 10 trainees on every year. I would suspect that a trainee's experience would be very different if it was fully remote than a very senior lawyer that's seen it, done it, and is now kind of, acting as more of an advisor in some capacity. I think there are differences out there, but that's why not everybody is for everyone.
That's absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more, Nadia, because and if you look at our values, it's a self-selecting process, because people who would be attracted to you and probably to James's firm wouldn't be attracted to our firm because they're looking for something different. And I don't deny that there are lots of people out there who look for that in-person, face-to-face contact, who want to be in an office frequently and all that sort of stuff. That's just not the market that we're in and that we're looking for. And so when we've grown at the pace that we've grown at, because we've been able to tap into a sufficiently large enough market, the quality of lawyers we're looking for at the senior level that we're looking for, that are interested in what we're doing. And it is very difficult for junior lawyers. So we've actually just introduced a policy of for the time being, not granting any more training contracts. So, we're committed to trainees and we're supporting them through their training. Yes. But it's extremely difficult to provide trainees with the degree of sort of hands-on training that they need it's not impossible, but it just takes a lot of extra time, a lot of extra resources to be able to do it. And I think that's where the models adopted by your firms come in.
I think that's absolutely right. So Nadia hit the nail on the head. Your type of firm, our types of firm, it suits very different people. We're not comparing apples with apples when you talk about the type of people that would be joining your firm and the type of people that would be joining Clarion or joining Lupton Forster. I mean, because I get a real kick out of bringing on the next generation, younger people. So say the joys of paralegals and then trainees and newly qualified solicitors. And we are very keen for that part of our people or that group of people that they do be in the office fully supported by partners or whatever through that early part of their careers. Because I think that is very, very important in terms of bringing on them as people. It helps with their social skills, and of course, at the end of the day, unlike obviously at your firm, but having social skills to eventually go out and start bringing clients into the firm as well. So, but it is very different, and I think both models work, but it depends on what you're setting your stall out to attract. Because as I said, a lot of people in our firm like to be in the office for some of the time. They just like that. That's part of the culture.
That's the culture.
And people want it. Yeah.
Do you think that company values then are something that you need to be using both internally and externally to attract talent? So a few of you have just mentioned that this is people know this is what we stand for, or this is our culture. So is that something that when you're looking for talent that you are mindful of, so that they do fit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I make it my part of my day to, whenever we're looking at more senior people in the firm, that they don't get past or into the firm unless they've at least seen me at some part of the interview process, because I know the type of people that I know that will fit the firm. I know the type of people I want, and I think it's very important because if someone's sitting in front of you, they might be a fantastic lawyer, but think, well, actually, will they fit into our values, our culture, what we're trying to achieve, and our culture and our values underpin our performance framework that
Same.
people step on when they join the firm. They know when they join the firm, wherever they want to end up, then there's a performance framework which shows them what they have to do, how they perform. And of course, this, on our part, we support them through that. But it is very important, I think, values and what the firm stand for. I think it is very important when people
to get the right fit
sit in front of you that people come to us because they know what our values are, what I'm trying to achieve, and that's very important to us.
It is, because ultimately you don't want to be doing hundreds of interviews for people who are like, oh, I didn't realize that that's what you stood for. If you can get the right people attracted at that initial stage, it's going to save you loads of time, but actually they're more likely to stay as well, because
Absolutely.
they're going to fit. Toby and Nadia, do you have anything that you'd like to contribute on the values point? I know you both alluded to it in the previous answers that you gave. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's hard on video, isn't it?
I should have asked one at a time. That's
I think the key thing for me, as somebody who speaks to a lot of prospective candidates, is values mean nothing if they are just words. Really, ultimately, somebody could be interviewed by me and I wouldn't necessarily expect them to know our values, but I would expect them to know what life is like at Clarion and what the expectations are and why we're different and why our reputation is the way that it is. And I think those are all the actual demonstrable evidence of values. Our values, collaboration, etc. Standing in our clients' shoes, standing together, standing out. I wouldn't expect somebody to know what those are, but I would expect them to see it and feel it at every interaction they have with us, whether it's something that they see on LinkedIn, whether they see it on our website, whether they walk in and they have an interview and they comment on our front of house, giving them the 5-star welcome and things that they have. Values are only words, but we need to start with those, but they have to be genuinely lived, because candidates and prospective candidates are very skeptical, because it's very easy to plaster all over your website. This is what we are, this is what we do. And then people will come and they'll go, this isn't what I thought it was. I mean, and I can hand on heart say that's what I love about Clarion. Every single day when I am waxing lyrical to people about life at Clarion, I genuinely believe that what I am telling people and that what people see is what they would expect from the day that they join, 3 months in, 6 months in, 5 years in. Obviously, culture and things evolve, but I think values are really important, but it's more about how they're lived. Really, that's key.
Absolutely.
I really like the point about how they're lived. I know it's certainly something that we were looking at over the last couple of months, and the team created a culture code of how they live and breathe the values, so what that looks like. And it was such a moving document that was created, because actually it's exactly how we act and how we behave and how we support each other. So it was really nice to see that come to life, both visually and in writing from the team, because that's what they believe we are and what we stand for. So yeah, no, I love the idea of bringing it to life and making sure that it actually feels as though you're living and breathing it through every stage. Because if you have, say, the interview doesn't feel like it's the Clarion way, then obviously that's going to impact whether someone accepts a role or not. So yeah, no, that's really helpful. But Toby, you were going to say something as well.
There's a whole values piece has been really, really important for us as a sort of a self-selection tool for prospective candidates, a selection tool for people who are responsible for recruiting the roles, but also for really doing exactly what Nadia described, which I completely agree with everything she just said, because our values, so we went through a whole process of identifying what our values are. They're very different traditional values. They're not buzzwords. They're actually descriptions of what it is to work here. So we hired somebody in, interviewed a load of people throughout the firm to understand why they joined and, more importantly, why they stay. We knocked those up into some values that were reflective of those things, so not aspirational, they're the reality of what it is to work here. And then we turned that into a guidebook of, if you join us, this is essentially what you're saying, Jodie. This is how you can expect to be treated, and also this is how we expect you to treat others. And we sort of sent out a pulse survey throughout the whole firm, and 100% of people said they recognise those values, and all of them were important to them personally. And then what we've done in our website, we've created a load of collateral that's supportive of them. So testimonials from people. So the thing that we always used to get when we were recruiting people is, it sounds like bullshit, it's too good to be true, this can't be the reality of what it's like to work here. And then post joining, everyone will be like, it's true. Everything you've told us is completely and utterly true. And so we've created a load of testimonial videos of real life experiences of the skepticism of people getting ready to join us and the reality of what it was like after they joined. And it's been a real game changer for us from a recruitment perspective, but also for the other reasons I said, from a self-selection and selection perspective as well. And you absolutely need to adhere to them. And as part of the induction process, I meet everybody and I do a talk around the values, our vision, purpose, and values, but really importantly, the values, and ensure that everybody feels responsible as a custodian for those as the business continues to grow.
There's actually a question about onboarding, so I might just jump to that now whilst you're talking about this, because I think it's really relevant to what you're saying. So Josie's asked, how do you manage your onboarding and training process with flexibility? Is it easier or harder to get a new recruit onboarded to your company culture? So I know you already mentioned that you do it in person, but do you want to just talk a little bit? We've got about 6 minutes. So yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about that process and how obviously you're doing it fully flexibly, but you are actually asking them to come in. So
we used to do our onboarding completely remotely, and that was really difficult. It was really difficult. So we have one intensive day where we bring people in from across the country who are feeding into that induction process, including team members who go out and take them for lunch, and I come in and meet them and do a talk and all that sort of stuff. So it starts off in person, but then it carries on for the week afterwards, because there's lots of people who can't come in and do their bit, so heads of different teams. So our head of talent acquisition lines up a whole series of meetings that happen in the week and 2 weeks afterwards that happen remotely. So it's a combination of both, and it's really effective for us. Works really well now, and I always finish it off 8 weeks later with a catch up with every new person that started. Often they're only 5 minutes, sometimes they can be a bit longer, just to try and take any learnings from the induction process. What went well, what could have we done better, how things sort of temperature test on how things are going. So
there's no better information than from a new starter about your processes, right? Because they're fresh eyes and they're biased. They've just done it. So
best way to learn.
And
I think induction processes are normally so difficult to absorb everything anyway. And I guess the way that we're forced into doing it is by having it over a longer period, which actually helps drip feeding things in. So
over what period do you do it? Over 2 weeks, did you say?
Yeah, it's normally, by the time, a lot of it depends on availability of the different people who they need to meet, but it's probably normally over a week or 2 weeks once they've met all of the sort of key people they need to see.
Yeah, nice.
I think and the key thing on onboarding, Jodie, is, sorry, just to interrupt very quickly, is onboarding actually starts the day an offer is made. Otherwise we're talking induction, aren't we? Onboarding, is a really important process, which actually, I think Clarion does well, but we could do a lot better, because there are some, organizations out there, not necessarily in the legal space, that we could all be learning from, where actually they have truly world-class onboarding systems where the person feels, really wanted from the minute they are offered, through to the really long notice periods that people sometimes have, and then obviously the induction is then the next stage of that, through probably for the first 12 months of somebody being with a firm. That is onboarding for me. It's not given the attention sometimes that it should have, I think.
That's a really good point.
When we do it, Jodie, I mean, and you said someone's made the offer, they accept, and you might be waiting 3 months or 6 months to turn up, but there's a lot of contact and increasing contact with that person as the day comes. So they're getting to know more about the firm, expectations and things, and they get to know about the onboarding process, physically in the office. But it is very important, because people need to feel valued, and they also need to feel wanted. And it's very important that you get that part absolutely bang on.
Definitely. There was something that we used called a license to thrive on our onboarding, where you complete it and basically talks about how you work best, so how you communicate best, maybe the hours that you work, if you've got kids that you might not be available at this time. And when you join a team, you get to read everybody else's license to thrive before you meet them, especially helpful for those people who actually live in a different city, so they might not meet everybody on the first week or the first day. And the other part of it has what are your challenges and how can we help? So removing kind of labels around disability and needs, and actually just going, this is how I work best. And the feedback that I got from the first time we rolled this out from a PA that we took on, she actually got quite emotional, and she was like, this is the first time I've ever felt heard in an induction process, and valued, because often you're being told lots of stuff, not asked for that information. So she found that was a really, really important part of the process. So we kept developing it, and now looking at how we can integrate that into technology. So it's not, at the minute, it's just a PDF that people then read of each other. So it's a physical document, but actually looking at how technology might be able to help us with that as well. Because actually it's harder to get to know people if you're not all in the same office as well. So understanding that intentional communication, again, what you could do in those processes. Does anyone else have anything to add? I'm going to see if there's any more questions. 1 second. We've got a few minutes left. I want to ask, I do have one more question. I just wanted to see if the audience have got any first. The final question, so we've got a couple of minutes left, is how does your firm support career growth and advancement? James, do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, I'll touch back on our performance framework, which, as I say, everybody knows when they join the firm, whether they want to get on whichever stage, that's how they do it. But that's very much underpinned by our values, and our values are fully explained. And in fact, so we actually have Value Champions Awards in the 3 times a year, and then a big annual award ceremony at the end of the year. But it's people demonstrating how they live our values. And so if you want to advance, then it's basically the platform. This is the platform. You don't need to worry about how the platform's being created. This is the platform you have, and you can perform on it to the best of your ability wherever you want to be. And we encourage people, and that's how we do it. Because some people want to step off at a certain time, and but some people want to go all the way, and it's there. It's there for them to take advantage of.
Yeah, because I suppose part of it is understanding like what the next stage is. How do you achieve that next stage, and what do you need to do as an individual, and from both a personal and professional perspective. And often in law firms, you don't have that. It's very much like, the partner carrot is kind of dangled at some point, but we don't really know how we get there. So having that framework is amazing, and I think it's really important. Perfect. Does anyone else have anything to add on the career growth advancement piece?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, career growth and advancement can look very different for different people. I think this is what you were saying, James, where some people want to keep going and some people want to step off. And actually creating that safe place where you can have an honest and open discussion about what it is you want from your career. And what people want right now isn't necessarily what they might want in a year. It might be that somebody wants a steady state in terms of their role. Maybe they want to expand into a new technical area, but actually they don't want any additional responsibility because they've got commitments that mean that they feel that they can't deliver on that, but they might want to later. I think for me, because I was 3 years post-qualified when I set up my firm, and one of the reasons I did that is I was working in a traditional firm and realized there's no way in a million years I was going to wait 10 years, 15 years, and I could look at people who've done it. Who sort of climb this long ladder to get to a point where, eventually I might get into partnership, and that's probably going to be dependent on, a partner retiring or exiting or whatever. And so for me, it's really important that we're able to create individual career plans, and that we can recruit and promote based on merit. And because the way the firm is structured is, we do all of the business development and all that sort of stuff. So we're not recruiting lawyers who need a following. We're able to value different things in different ways. And I think in traditional firms, certainly the ones I worked at, it was about billable hours numbers, it was about relationships managed, it was about work won and all of that sort of stuff. And actually we can, and I think sometimes because of that, you can find that people may be promoted into leadership roles for potentially the wrong reasons. Maybe it's leaders, maybe they were just delivering
really technically good
or had the highest value relationships. And so being able to create something that's truly individual for the people that we have, not just in the legal part of the business, but in the in the other bits as well, is really important. I've got somebody in the business that joined us almost as a fresh graduate, who's running a team of 10 people, and I'm talking to him about the next step is for him into a board level role. And he only turned 30 last year. So because you've got to identify people who are delivering value and give them the opportunities that they're entitled to, rather than sort of just necessarily waiting
Yeah, because I suppose values determined in many different ways. It's not just the traditional model. And sometimes you need someone who's really, really good at compliance or really good at the technical stuff. They don't have to be the rainmaker every single time.
No,
and it's
absolutely.
identifying that, I think, as
Yeah.
you grow and you've
Yeah.
got more of these different types of people, and like you say, spotting that talent and nurturing it's really important.
Yeah, and I think, making sure you've got that framework. So, we're embedding a framework of, rather than annual appraisals, monthly check-ins and quarterly one-to-ones. So there's that ongoing interaction with our people, rather than waiting a whole year and it being this big exercise that everybody hates. Making sure
we
that
do monthly.
Yeah, I just think, it's going to make such an impact. It's best practice now, isn't it? So, yeah.
Definitely. I'm conscious we've gone over time, but I also want to just check with Nadia. Is there anything you want to add in terms of the career growth and advancement piece?
I'll keep it really short for you. I think transparency and honesty from both parties is the key thing. People need to know where they can go, how they're going to get there. They need the support to help them get them there. And if they're never going to get there, they need to understand why. And then I think just giving people opportunities, in an entrepreneurial business to be able to forge their own path. They can see, at Clarion, 3 of our biggest teams have grown out of somebody that had a really great business plan. One of those teams is a team of 30 now. One of them is one of the fastest growing teams within the business, the prop lit team. So, it's people being able to see it and people being really honest about what they want, but the business being really honest about how we can help them get there as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. James, do you want to say something? Sorry, I don't know if you...
No, sorry, I was just agreeing with Nadia, that's all.
You're agreeing. No, honestly, guys, it's been a really good conversation. I feel like I've learnt loads. I'm sure those people watching live and on the recording have. So thank you all so much for all of your insights, and let's keep in touch and let's keep sharing this best practice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you later.